Hey guys, it's Tammi Hilton, owner of the in Cottleville, Missouri, and the host for the Cottleville Weldon Spring Chamber of Commerce Business Accelerators podcast. So, this is our first podcast as we are launching this podcast series in collaboration with the Cottleville Weldon Spring Chamber of Commerce. And today's guest was phenomenal. I'm so excited to be able to launch this program with Dr. Mabie with the Tutor Doctor. Our conversation flew so well, and we had such great thought and connection when it came to investing in a franchise and how we made those decisions, both of them, with my restaurant and then with the Tutor Doctor. Two completely different industries, but still really just great conversation about those decisions that we made for ourselves. And then also building teams, right? Employee retention and HR. Very, very relevant conversations as we're entering into 2023 when we have labor shortages and different people that are looking for different things with their employer. So we talked a little bit about the differences in our businesses, but also some of the similarities as well. So that was just really thrilling to listen. And then the social media, what social media is so fun. It's so relevant in 2023 when we just think about the changes with it. Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all of the social media platforms that are out there, and then what we do to market our social media platforms and just market our businesses. And then we wrapped it up talking about collaboration and the chamber and the community that we're building inside of the chamber and what we're trying to do as we launch the Business Accelerators program. So tune in and let us know what you think. Follow all of our links in the show notes. And if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast, or if you've got an idea or story that you want to share, join us. I'm looking for more people to join me on this podcast and share their success, their trials, and some of the mistakes that they might have made, so we can all be stronger together.
How would you like to get a 5-cent gas tax rebate on every gallon of gas purchased in Missouri? Every time you get gas in the state of Missouri, you are eligible for a refund. Just upload your gas receipts and enter the key details the state of Missouri requires for a refund from the Department of Revenue. The state of Missouri collects over $750 million a year in gas and fuel taxes for Missouri consumers and citizens, meaning the average household in the state of Missouri pays over $300 a month just in refundable gas tax. Download the No Mo Gas Tax app today and get started tracking your gas receipts and get your gas tax refund in July. For more information, go to nomogastax.com.
All right, well, welcome to the Cottleville Weldon Spring Chamber of Commerce Business Accelerators podcast. I am so excited to be able to launch this podcast in collaboration with the Cottleville Weldon Spring Chamber of Commerce. I've been a board member for the chamber for about 2 years now. I'm in my third year with them. I've been a member of the Cottleville Weldon Spring Chamber of Commerce for 4 years now. I'm a business owner in the community, and I've felt support from the Chamber of Commerce, local Chamber of Commerce, before anybody even knew who we were. And so it was an easy migration for us to join the chamber and start collaborating with the other business owners in the area. And with that connection, I've been able to meet Dr. Mabie with the Tutor Doctor, and I am so excited to have you on as our guest, our first guest, our inaugural guest, and learn a little bit about the Tutor Doctor and yourself and some of your visions and missions that you have. I think it's really exciting because we're both franchise owners, completely different industries. So I'm really excited to kind of see where this conversation goes today.
Yeah, thank you, Tammi. Very excited to be part of the conversation.
Awesome. So I'm really, one of the first questions I wanted to ask you, and I'm really very curious about this because I think, as I mentioned, our franchises are so different, right? But I'm very curious, and it's one of the questions that people ask me all the time is, why did you choose your franchise? And a lot of it comes down to sustainability, growth, long-term potential. So tell me, what made you choose the Tutor Doctor?
Yeah, so when I was looking for some sort of way to impact the community, I really have, I guess, a background working with education, and I recognized tutoring and the ability to help our local students learn and grow as a need that maybe we did have in this community. As a former teacher, I was an English language arts teacher. People ask all the time for help with all sorts of things, whether it's learning how to read or it is writing an essay. As an English teacher, people would come to me for that, and I just recognized that there was a need for sure in our community. So that was the first piece, recognizing there's a need. But then there are a lot of different tutoring franchises out there, and I think to the root of your question, Tammi, choosing which one is a big deal if you're going to franchise. And I mean, heck, why franchise even? We could have just opened Kevin's tutoring service, and that would have been something that helped somewhere. But the Tutor Doctor model is a home-based model. And I thought it was really sustainable because I can open here in St. Peter's and serve people in St. Peter's, but I also can serve people in St. Louis or serve people in Warren County or Lincoln County. It's a home-based model, so we send people to homes. And so I'm finding teachers and tutors from all around the area to go to a lot of different places. So in our conversations, Tammi, we've talked about sustainability of businesses, and one of the first choices I made was not to have a storefront, not to have a place where people came and did the tutoring. And there are benefits to having a storefront, but there's also benefits to not having a storefront. And one of those is that I can really serve the entire metro area instead of just right here in one spot.
Yeah. Can I ask, so were you looking for a franchise? Was it always about education? Can you give a little, like, because, and I can, right? So when you make a decision, you have investing with a franchise, deciding which franchise to invest with, those conversations happen over dinner, probably with your loved ones, they happen with bankers. So, I mean, was it always education and the Tutor Doctor? Did you know you always wanted to be in business for yourself? Or can you share some of that story too?
Right. No, I love the question because no, I didn't always know I wanted to be in business for myself. I like I said, I'm a person who used to be a teacher, and then I was a school principal, and I still do professional development for teachers around the country. However, I wasn't really impacting my local community, and this community has been really good to me. And I really was looking for a way that my talents could give back to the community. And again, I know a lot of people and a lot of people who are looking for different things in our community, and education is at the top of the list, especially after the pandemic. People were looking to fill gaps and things like that. So for me, education and something that had to do with education was always a priority if I was going to open a business. And I kind of developed this opinion that man, if everybody in the world could open a business at some point, it would be just a remarkable thing, because you learn so much. You learn so much about the way that you market and the way you communicate and how it all matters. And so without getting off track here, I want to say that education was definitely a goal. And then when it comes to choosing a franchise, it was more about what franchise, if I was going to choose one, best aligned with my mentality. When I was a quick story, when I was a younger teacher, when I was in my first 5 to 10 years of teaching, I was looking to bridge the gap in pay between what I needed and what I was getting as a teacher. And I worked as a tutor, and I worked at a tutoring center. And I went there, and they would put a student on my left and a student on my right. And the student on my left might be a third grader learning to read, and the student on my right might have been preparing for the ACT. And I was kind of helping them both at the same time. That wasn't a model that I liked. I liked the Tutor Doctor model that brings people into the home and they get to know the student. I mean, in that job that I had earlier in my life, I would have so many students in one night, I couldn't remember who I had worked with. So our tutors, they go to a home, they get to know the family, and they get to know the student. So that's really kind of why the Tutor Doctor model stood out so much to me. It was a chance to really connect with students and help them grow more than it was just to put band-aids on things. We're really in it for the long term, we hope, with both academically and with our relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
Long term, right? We're always worried about that as business owners.
Right.
Well, thinking about like when it comes down to labor shortages, crunches, inflation, higher wages, teachers are that's no secret. The teachers are probably underpaid, right? And that
Mhm.
curve has really been flat for a long time. But we're seeing all kinds of craziness, in today's day and age. And so, you know, tell me a little bit about the unique blend of people that you've been able to bring into your team, and how have you gone about like finding those team members and building not only a culture in that team, and just getting a strong nucleus for your business to be successful.
Yeah, I like that question. One of the benefits of being a former educator is I do know a lot of people in the education business. I know a lot of teachers. I know a lot of really good teachers, and so what I strive to do, what I do strive to do still is to pay people respectfully for the work that they're doing. These are professionals they're very proud of the education they have and the work that they do already at schools in our communities. So what I want to do is pay people well, while also keeping the tutoring as affordable as I can. So I really have found that I can find people that are really strong teachers and tutors if I don't require them to do things that they're not comfortable doing, as far as where they go to tutor or how often they tutor. I have a lot of people who work for me, and they might tutor one or two students. They might have one or two homes that they have to drive to. They might work 2 to 4 hours a week. And then I have other people who also maybe they don't have a full-time teaching job during the day. They are people who just have committed to just tutoring. So they'll take on some of those larger numbers of hours, 20 to 40 hours. So being willing to have that blend of people who are willing to just take a student, and those people who are willing to take 10 to 20 students, it really has enabled me to really match people with a lot of a lot of tutors that really work well with their sons and daughters. That to me is another reason why I like this model, because it enables me to really have a team that's very dynamic and can do a lot of different things.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you can relate to that in any industry. I run
Mhm.
a restaurant, right? And so over the past couple of days, we've been sitting down doing quite a bit of hiring as we've had some turnover, and just asking the questions of, why, what is it that you're looking for, and why are you only looking for that, or why are you not looking for more, and just understanding what it is that they're doing. I had the opportunity to sit down with someone yesterday, who was looking for a full-time job with me at the restaurant as a server, but was committed to subbing Monday through Wednesday. And I thought that was unique, and just, she knew that the amount of money that she could make subbing, which I was, to be honest, I asked her what that number was. You might know that number. But I was surprised that it hadn't really changed much since when I was in my 20s thinking about subbing,
Right,
like,
right.
gosh, and so um, that I think she said somewhere like between like 150 and 200, depending on the district,
Mhm.
probably probably pretty high number. Really, you should probably grab that sub job, you know. So, but
I,
she's
I, I,
about building her clients and her teachers in that realm as well.
right, right. I think it's really about just being open to, as business owners, we want to be open to the different goals that people have, and I think that it's really easy for us to set a standard and say, if you want to work here, these are the hours we're open. We need you to be available Monday through Friday at this time, over the weekends if it's that type of job at this time. Everybody who works here works 20 hours a week at a minimum. We can throw all those qualifications out there and say, this is what we need. And that might make it really easy for us as business owners if we get people who commit to those qualifications. And I think in our current job market, it's real important that we take the time to really, like you just said, understand the employee, understand that server that you were talking with, to understand that new tutor that I might be talking with, because they might be a really valuable dynamic part of our team. And we might lose them if we're not willing to think outside the box about how they serve our customers.
Yeah. And it kind of goes, like, as you mentioned earlier, like, and turnover happens, right? So losing people is hard, but it's not always the worst thing. And so I've always been passionate inside of our restaurant. Being a restaurant, sometimes we're a stepping stone, sometimes we're a lifetime position, sometimes we're just, sometimes we're both, right? Our second job and income. And so, it's healthy to understand, where that person is at and what their goals are. I run I run 14 shifts a week, right? So I'm open 7 days a week, 2 shifts a week, like fill in the gap, right? You tell me where you want to fit, and I'll post a schedule accordingly. And so there's some value there. And I think it correlates on both retail front and non-retail front. But just giving people that flexibility to own their own life and own their own income.
And Tammi, I'm going to put you on the spot just because your restaurant seems like it's a fun place to go and visit. Is there anything you do to make that fun for your employees to work at? Because I've got some things that I try to do with tutoring. I mean, is there anything that you do with Mellow Mushroom?
It is hard because I also try to tell them, we're Disney, right? So we're on show. So when guests are in the building, we are open concept kitchen. But I try to be a little bit flexible. We trade with other restaurants. Food is the number one beast, right? So I've got a couple of different restaurants that we trade food with up and down the street. Chamber members, Crumble Cookie, Raising Cane's.
I love that.
Right. So at that point, but we've been talking a lot more about that lately. Sometimes it doesn't need to be so big. Maybe it's just a candy bar, a thank you, a sticker, a new piece of swag, a new shirt to wear to work really will make somebody smile. I've had conversations with them, just asking what they want, and they have ideas too. Like, all these boxes we're throwing in the trash can, can we recycle? Yeah, I'll call a trash company right now. We'll get recycled. But no, I'm just going to take them on my way home. What? Okay, like I'm not gonna stop you from doing that, but why? Sure, if that makes you happy, please do. So, we're open because this day and age, it is changing very, very fast. Incentivizing people is not just about money, but that is very important as well. But one of the things too is just setting the expectations out as well. So I've restructured inside of our comp plan, especially for some of the back of the house that aren't making tipped positions. I'm going to talk about it now. It's kind of funny you said that, but we're doing corporations where you do like a P1, P2, P3, right? So you know expectations. Coworkers might know your range of pay based off of that.
Right.
Same thing, but public knowledge, right? All right, fine. Let's talk about pay. Let's have a conversation. You want to make money. I want to make money. These are the skill sets that I need from you in this amount of time to make the money. And this is what I need for you to do. You want to raise? This is what you need to learn. And so we've just been able to be a lot more transparent, have that in writing, have that posted, and still being able to kind of change too, because it's not always going to be the same. So
I love that. I love the transparency, and I love your open-mindedness just to what people bring to the table. I try to do something every couple of months that because tutors feel like they're on an island, because especially since we don't have a center, we'll have people working all over the area, all working at the same time, but they never run into each other. So it's real important that we have some events where our tutors can just get together and meet some like-minded people. So we had a Christmas party. We gave some shirts away. Our next month, I guess this month now, we are going to do a trivia night together. A chamber member, Hallelujah Baskets, is having a trivia night on February 18th. And so we're having a Tutor Doctor table at the trivia night. Just things like that, just to get employees together is where we're at, as far as keeping them feeling like they're part of a team, because they are, and they're really valuable to one another sometimes. And so I think when it comes to employees and keeping people involved and keeping people around, making it fun, treating them respectfully, all those things matter.
It absolutely does. And I think it kind of goes alongside with things that you never knew you were going to be getting into as a business owner.
Right, right.
I was never in HR. I never hired before I was a business owner. I never
Hmm.
managed people. I was a salesperson. And I never ran payroll. I never looked over, I was never charged with my own P&L. I never installed systems. I only used the systems that people installed.
Right.
you know. So, I mean, what are some things that you've learned in your business or that Tutor Doctors brought to you that you had to learn, either a task, a skill set? What are some things and challenges that you've run into?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I never had to do when I worked in a school system was marketing. The students came; they were coming, and I taught them, or I was their principal. And with Tutor Doctor, I can choose to open a business, and I chose to open a franchise that is not well known in the St. Louis area. There are Tutor Doctors in 93 countries, but not so much in St. Charles County. There wasn't a Tutor Doctor presence. So marketing became such an interesting piece of my business plan that was not something that I knew I was going to have to do in my life. So I have learned both how to do some things that are a little more techie and to do some things that are not so techie. So for instance. Community signs, like I've learned so much about putting signs out in the community and just little yard signs. That has been one of my strategies, and more than anything, I found tutors who have come to us and said, "Hey, I want to learn more about what you're all about." But I also know that those signs just it kind of creates awareness for people. I've done things like I have my car wrapped in Tutor Doctor, so when people see me pass by on the road, they maybe think Tutor Doctor when they think about tutoring. But I've also tried to do some things when I say more techie.
Driver?
What's that?
My husband wants me to wrap my car, but I feel like that's dangerous. What if what if I do something silly or cut somebody off?
Tammi, it's so funny you say that because I am traditionally a mediocre driver at best. I try my best. I'm always trying my best, but I know that that's dangerous. And to have your number on your car if you're not a great driver all the time, I think for me it's just I have to be open minded that if somebody did communicate with me and say, "Hey, man, that wasn't great driving," because my number is right there, I would just have to admit it and say, "No, man, I'm just trying my best," you know. But I think more than anything, having the car has been important to me because I don't have that storefront, you know. So people, I want people to know I'm a guy driving my kids to school and dropping my kids off in the morning. And the guy from Tutor Doctor has a car that's going through the parent pickup line because his kids go to school here. I think that's important because there is not a store for people to drive by and pass and see, oh, that's where Tutor Doctor is, you know. Yeah.
What have you
Go
done
ahead.
media wise? And because it's hard, right? Social media changes, the algorithm changes, the Meta just made a big massive change yesterday. I don't know if you've noticed. I think they laid off, I don't even know the number, like 11,000 employees or something, and now their stock today is like sky high.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it's going to change, right? So you got TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I mean, what do
Twitter.
Twitter?
Yeah. Yeah. No, so that's where I was saying, like I think that's been the harder part for me. I can do. If somebody suggests wrapping my car, I know where to go wrap my car. If somebody suggests making yard sign, I know how to make yard signs. Those things are pretty cut and dry. But when it comes to social media and knowing how to really reach the audiences you're trying to reach, I think that's been a real adventure for me as a business owner. I really do feel that I guess my tip I would give to new business owners or people trying to get into that realm is post frequently. Be willing to put things out there on a regular basis, and don't just put, "Hey, we are Tutor Doctor and we provide tutoring." You have to provide something of value. So I think anytime I can put anything out there that is a helpful message, a reminder to parents about this or that, maybe link to an article that helps them with their ultimate goal to raise healthy and happy, successful kids.
Right.
That's what I try to do.
Yeah.
At the same time, our world at this point is more about videos, and so I can put messages out there, but it's the videos that really have to push me. I tried in the month of November. I've got 5 kids in my house, so I tried to pay them to create videos that were TikTok Tutor Doctor videos. I needed them to do anything they could, and you know, they did things where they were mixing in like Pitbull songs and you know, dancing after they finished their lessons with Tutor Doctor. To like my son did this one where it looked like he was in a boat, where he was like on his way to tutoring with Tutor Doctor, and I mean, that stuff gets people's attention. But how many of those can I create? Like that's why I was trying to get them to come up with ideas, and it's harder than you think. Maybe as hard as you know, it's hard to come up with ideas. So that's one of my goals for 2023 is to really put together several successful TikToks and get them circulating out there so that people think of Tutor Doctor.
Well, so it's funny that you mentioned TikTok is like kind of the focus, and I've been having conversations with my franchisor as well, mostly because I probably am a little bit more aggressive on social, and I tend to step outside the bounds of brand, if you will, and
Yeah,
push the envelope, I guess, maybe tiptoe outside that brand and push the envelope at the same time. But it's not because, it's mostly just because I'm just trying, right? So you think, you know, it's a super big brand, we're in a suburban America. Most of the time you have Mellow on vacation, you're in a touristy area, college town. So we're doing it a little bit different than all the traditional Mellows are. And I have said time and time again, my personal circle of influence is on Facebook. I'm 40 years old, right? I'm not that old, but I'm 40. And apparently that's old. And so I'm in the realm of like where the grandmas live, right? And so, but TikTok is where the younger ones are, and it's where Snapchat. I haven't even gotten into Snapchat. I know what it is, but I don't even know how to brand myself there as a restaurant or as a business. But I've said over and over, it's about community, right? So like my personal brand community is on Facebook. My restaurant community might be, maybe it's on Instagram, or maybe it's on TikTok. But I'm not trying to go viral at Cottleville, but I am trying to be locally known and
hmm,
build that sense of community and that connection with people that do follow us. And so, you know, we've got a county full of people, we've got a city full of people that we've been calling on. I don't need Texas to know about my funny TikTok, right? I don't need
right.
Kansas City to know about my funny TikTok. It's kind of fun to get those types of viral videos. But connections is really kind of what it's all about, right? With business owners and being in the chamber and trying to grow and collaborate. You know, what are some examples that where you've been able to kind of build off of the community that you're in today, and either help and provide additional services with Tutor Doctor, or maybe lessons learned inside of your business that you've been able to share?
Well, I think you use the word connections right there, and one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that I can't always be looking for a lead from you, my connection. I can't always be looking for you to help me, and I can't even always help you. It's about forming a connection and helping each other however we can. So it might not be. It's about looking at things more macro than micro. I can't always give you the thing that you need right now as a fellow business owner, but what I can do is know you're there, get to know you personally, and be able to give you any wisdom I can whenever you have it, and hopefully it pushes you in one direction or the other, that eventually leads to you getting the things that you need and solving some of your business's problems. I think about some of the different places where I'm able to to push somebody to go to. I've recently encouraged people to go to the sound spa that Noelle Robinson runs. She's part of our chamber. I've encouraged people to utilize Little Stinkers. It's a pet pickup place that I utilize and that I've passed that on. So I can pass on leads, but I think some of my cooler connections have been with people where we really can get to know each other and really sit back and think about the business as a whole. So that might be, hey, we're gonna brainstorm some ideas. I mean, I would love it, like to have people talk more about TikTok with me and give me ideas that I could use for TikTok. So it might be brainstorming is a way to connect. It might be problem solving. So when we as business owners really get to know each other and trust each other, we can be transparent enough to say, hey, this is the problem I'm having right now, and that person is then able to help me. And that's where I think the chamber has been so valuable to me. It's just an opportunity to make connections that might eventually help me with my net profit. But you got to kind of put that aside and really just embrace the relationship and know that it may or may not, but at least we're going to form a connection here and help each other somehow.
Yeah, I think some of that comes to also just being open and honest about your business, right? And being able to have trust with that community. And so I've been open now 4 years now, and I've made plenty of mistakes, right? I've had a lot of lessons learned, and I've had to dig myself out of holes. And I've learned sometimes that when I actually share some of that, you just become a more like you just become more authentic to somebody, right? So the things that I might be going through, it can be crippling some days, like very difficult, right? So when you open a business, you probably, the loans that you have to pay, the bills that come in, and the stresses that come along with it. And then you got to go home and be dad. You said 5 kids, I've got 2, and I've got to go home and be mom and put that aside for a couple hours and pull that hat off too. So, speaking about like kind of collaboration, and one of the reasons for this podcast today and what we're doing to collaborate with the Cottleville Weldon Spring Chamber of Commerce is really launching the Business Accelerators program, right? And so I wanted to kind of wrap up and talk a little bit about what that is and what we want to do together with the Business Accelerators. And one, as a podcast and kind of the missions and the goals that we have there. And then 2, also bring it to kind of a collective networking, conversational, in-person meeting as well, right?
Yeah.
And so my goals that I'll share with you the podcast, and then we'll kind of talk to the in-person piece as well. But my goals for this podcast and the future podcasts that we bring on is to really talk about specific problems that you might face in your business, or maybe a success, right? That'd be great if they're all about success. But the point is to make us all more successful and all stronger. It could be something as like, what are you doing for payroll, or what are you doing about HR, or how are you managing your books, or is there tax incentives that are out there, PPP loans, right? 2, 3 years ago, how long ago was that? 2 years ago with COVID, that's really when I learned to lean on some of the people in the chamber, and also other businesses came to me and said, what are you doing about PPP loans? Like, what documents did you have to get together? Who helped you? How did you get there? And I realized that I had information that other people needed as well. And so I want this podcast to be something where we can talk about our own businesses and sell our own businesses as well, but also solve a problem that we can relate to, whether it be in our personal lives, our family lives, our business lives, our employees' lives. It doesn't need to be business owners. It could be business leaders in the community. It could be nonprofits in the community and the things that they're doing and how we can kind of grow that outreach. And I think with working with you on an in-person side as well, kind of getting and stirring up some of those ideas. Because one of the things that I've noticed the most is when I am that open about my business, and when you are as well, I sometimes just walk away wishing that was recorded. Right? That conversation should have been recorded, because wow, I said I acknowledged a problem or a win, and the other person learned, or maybe I learned, right? why is that not shareable information?
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that you really hit the nail on the head when you talk about successes. It's so cool to hear people talk about things that went well for them, because that really is a learnable piece of information. I can learn something from your success at Mellow Mushroom. I can learn something from the success of all the different people. I think it's really interesting because we as a society, we sometimes don't talk about our successes, because those are things that are, maybe it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, or I'm overconfident or cocky about the work that I'm doing. But if we are given an avenue like a podcast, just given an avenue, period, to talk about some successes, it really leads to people being able to learn from you. So recording them is a great idea. Getting them aired and out there is a great idea. But then you also talk about challenges, and being willing to share those challenges is a big deal. It really, for me, it gives me more confidence that this person that I'm going to learn, or going to, for my business, if I'm going to give you business, and it might be because I've learned something about you, where you've been transparent, and I know the story of the challenges that you've gone through to get there. So I think that when we talk about small businesses being able to help one another learn and grow and support each other as businesses, both of those things will weave really well into a podcast.
Yeah, and I think, the things that we've just faced over the past couple of years, right? A pandemic, who would have thought, right? To 5 years, we would have faced a pandemic. How in the world did that happen, right? And then how did
Yeah,
we evolve out of that? Then there's quick inflation, right? And now they're talking about de-inflation, right? So we don't even know what's on the horizon if we don't stick together.
right.
Don't kind of band together, share our knowledge, share our thoughts, share our fears, and share what our goals too. And so tell me a little bit about like the new group that you want to form with the chamber.
Right. So we are going to form a business accelerator group as well. So it's more kind of along the side of the podcast, if you will. And I should explain it this way. So one of the things I get to do is I work with a company that provides training around the country for teachers, and it helps them learn how to talk to one another. And teachers are like business owners in a way, because they each have their own classrooms where they're trying to be the best teacher they can be. And what's interesting is teachers, like business owners, we're maybe afraid to voice our challenges. We're afraid to look less together than maybe that next person. We're afraid to be needy. And here's the thing: sometimes if I go and I share my problem with somebody, they've got an answer like that. It's like a quick answer. And maybe I wanted to dive a little deeper into that. So I say all this to say the group that we are forming within the Cottleville Weldon Spring Chamber is meant to be a group of business owners that want to come together, and we're going to have each week somebody bring something to the table. They will be considered the presenter, and they will present a challenge that they're having right now, or some sort of brainstorming need that they have, or they may even share a success that we can all learn from. We're going to have a variety of different protocols that we're going to use to make conversation most powerful and effective. And when you're the presenter, you'll notice in these meetings that you don't have to talk a whole lot. You're going to put your initial thoughts out there. You're going to tell us where you are. And then we're part of the protocol will require you to turn around and face the other direction, so that we can talk about your challenge and your problem, brainstorm for you, so that you can get as much input as you can out of us. So it's not a quick answer thing. If you came to us with a challenge, Tammi, we wouldn't say, "Hey, I've got an answer for that, Tammi. Let's move on to the next piece of the agenda." You are the agenda. We're gonna talk about really deeply every possible angle that we can about your challenge, and help give you as many ideas as we can. So hopefully, as business owners, if I have worked through a challenge that you're having on a particular day, I can learn something from that as a business owner myself. So even though we made it all about you on that particular meeting, we're all learning something about our businesses.
Or we might run into that in the future, right? Or maybe it's
Yeah.
something we haven't stumbled on yet.
Yeah.
especially for a lot of newer business owners, right? That have only been in business for a year, or maybe that someone's been in business for 20 years and has been through multiple, roller coasters of economic change.
Right. And,
So
and think about this, Tammy. So with teachers, I experienced this too. You might have a 20-year teaching veteran who has all sorts of wisdom, and that is so valuable. But then sometimes you've got a first-year teacher who comes in and knows like these new trends and knows different things going on that work. So, I mean, heck, I might learn from the 25-year-old business owner how to better leverage TikTok to enable me to do well with my business, whereas I might learn from the person who's had his business or her business for 30 years, something that might totally change the way that I handle some of my different processes. So there's wisdom in the room either way when we're in this sort of business ownership, business leadership realm, and I really that's really, if I could boil down the goal of the Business Accelerator group, it's to bubble that wisdom to the top and to help us all learn and grow.
well, I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to really kind of seeing where this evolves for us as a community. I think, even outside of our community, there's others that can learn from this. And so I appreciate you jumping on the horn with us, because I think there's a lot that, as you said, even for someone that's been around in business ownership for 25 years, there's still things to learn, right?
Right.
There's still information to learn from someone that's only been doing something for a year, or somebody that's inventing an idea that we haven't even thought about yet. So let's close up. Tell me a little bit more. Let's run it back to you real quick, and just your mission in operating Tutor Doctor and your vision for your company and what you see as the foreseeable future.
Yeah. So with Tutor Doctor, our mission is to serve as many students as we can, and that's not meant to be serve as many students as we can because we want to make as much money as we can sort of approach. It's let's help this community. Let's make sure that every student who leaves one of our high schools with a diploma has the knowledge and wisdom that he, she, or they sought out to have. And so to do that, I try to make tutoring affordable. I try to pay good people for the wisdom they have to help these students. But ultimately, we are in a business here of trying to just help our community know and grow together, and that's our mission in the end.
Yeah. It correlates right to the Business Accelerators. It's the same thing, just continuing to improve to the people around us. I think it makes us all stronger. So, well, listen, I appreciate you being with us today, and I appreciate you jumping on and being our inaugural guest on the podcast with the Cottleville Weldon Spring Chamber of Commerce. We didn't even introduce Brendan Shanahan with us. Brendan, thanks for setting this up for us. Brendan is the man behind the scenes, or part of the scenes with us as well. He's going to be helping us with producing this podcast and editing and getting this to all the platforms that we need. And so I appreciate everybody's time today. I'm looking forward to the next opportunity. If you're interested in joining us on the podcast, if you've got a story that you want to tell, if you've got a lesson that you've learned, or if you've got a problem that you're seeking inside of your business, or something that you want to lean in and ask people for advice, let me know, and we'll get you on air as well.
Thanks, Tam.
Thank you.
The Cottleville Weldon Spring Business Accelerator podcast, brought to you by the Tutor Doctor, how learning hits home. Because we're the tutoring service that does indeed come to the homes of the families we serve. We are a partner in the educational process for our students, helping them find practical ways to remember new knowledge and skills. And we do this at a time, place, and budget that works for the family. We believe we can reach and teach any student who finds their way to us. Call 1-800-4-TUTORS or go to tutordoctor.com. Tutor Doctor, how learning hits home. And the Cottleville Weldon Spring Chamber of Commerce, a powerful business organization in St. Charles County that sees the benefits in networking, being active in the community, and supporting each other in a way that assists us to grow our business and develop professionally. For more information, go to CottlevilleWeldonSpringChamber.com. Produced by thepodcastproshop.com. And always remember to like, share, and subscribe.